Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent. A goal joining you on Thursday, just 3 days away now from Arsenal returning to action. We're slowly getting there. Mykhaylo Arteta's press conference ahead of that game against Brentford is taking place tomorrow at London Colney, midday. For now, anyway, as I said yesterday, Arsenal do love a late time change when it comes to a press conference. But at the moment, it's scheduled for 12 p.m, so we'll be hearing from Mykhaylo ahead of that game against Brentford tomorrow. Wanted to start today's video looking at that match, looking at who's going to start, who you think will probably start, who could come in. It all depends really on Thomas Partey, doesn't it? I think that's the main question mark that surrounds this game. Is Mykhaylo Arteta going to start with Thomas Partey? Is he fit enough? Has he proved himself in training since he's come back from the injury that he has ready? Providing he obviously hasn't suffered a setback or anything like that this week in training that we don't know about yet. And I think the likelihood for me is if Thomas Partey is, I want to say 80% fit, 90% fit, he starts, doesn't he? And I don't think it's so much of a risk. I think maybe last weekend it would have been a risk to throw him straight in against Everton if he'd only had a couple of days training. But you think he's had a couple of days at the end of last week. Providing, as I said, he hasn't had any setbacks this week, then he's had a full week's training this week ahead of that game against Brentford. You know, Mykhaylo would have been working very sort of strictly in what he's doing in training in preparation for the game against Brentford. And I just can't. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't start. You just think if he's fit, he's had a whole week's worth of training, he's been medically cleared, then I just think he starts. It's like why wouldn't he really? Especially as you've only got one game and then it's international break. Still, if I was Arsenal, I'd do all I could to convince him not to go away. Sorry to all you Ghana fans who are watching out there, but I just feel like for this next international break, it'd be far wiser for everyone, for Ghana included, ahead of the World Cup as well, just not to take any big risks. Don't fly halfway around the world, play a couple of games, fly all the way back, and then it just feels like a bit of a one risk too far for me. Just for, you know, they're not qualifiers or anything like that. A couple of friendly games. Just feels like if you're gonna let Thomas Partey have a bit of a rest and get fully fit, then the international break is the time to do it. I doubt it will happen. I imagine he'll probably go, but that's just my thoughts on the on that sort of subject. But for me, yeah, if he's fit this week, if he's trained this week, then he plays. And then if he does, the team for Brentford, it kind of picks itself. It has done all season, hasn't it? And if Partey's back fit, I can't see Mykhaylo's going to make it really any changes. He's had all week. He's had more than a week with the players at London Colney. Last game, obviously, last Thursday, a week today in that game in Zurich. And he rested a lot of players for that game. So everyone should be fit. Everyone should be, you know, firing on all cylinders and ready to go for this game against Brentford, which is going to be a very difficult game. We saw what happened there last season. Yes, there was a lot of circumstances going on behind that. But still, you know, Brentford have started the season pretty well, especially at home. They hit Leeds for 5, they hit Man United for 4. Ivan Toney's flying. He's going to be in England squad later by all accounts, and he's going to, I'm sure, have a little bit of not a point to prove, but I'm sure the whole thing about his tweet at the end of the game last season and then Mykhaylo using it in the pre-match team talk ahead of the return game at the Emirates, I'm sure that's going to be in everyone's mind, and so he'll probably be a bit hyped up for it as well. So Arsenal are going to have to be bang on it if they're going to get something at Brentford, and you would think the fact that all the players have been fit and training, that they're going to be ready for it. And so the team just kind of picks itself. Obviously, it's going to be Aaron Ramsdale in goal. You think, I mean, the Tomiyasu, I thought he did well at Zurich. It feels to me there's going to be a point at some point that Tomiyasu comes into the side and starts, because I still think of Ben White as the centre-back, not a right-back. And Ben White's played really well this season. I'm going to talk about him a little bit later on in this video, because he's given an interview that's gone out today on Arsenal.com that I thought was quite interesting. And he's done really, really well. But at some point, you just start thinking he is a centre-back playing at right-back. You know, I still don't consider him as right-back. So, but I imagine he is going to start there. So it'll be him at right-back. Then you've got Gabriel and William Saliba obviously as the two centre-backs, and then Zinchenko I imagine will get the nod over Kieran Tierney at left-back. Then Thomas Partey, if past fit, he'll be the holding midfielder, and then it's just from then on, you know who's going to play. It's going to be Granit and Martin Odegaard ahead of him in that completing the midfield three, and then obviously the forward line is going to be Bukayo Saka on the right, Gabriel Jesus up front, and Gabriel Martinelli on the left-hand side. So the team at the moment, if everyone's fit, we kind of know who is going to be in it. Maybe there's question marks over Gabriel's form at the moment. And, you know, he's made a couple of errors in recent games. Is there a possibility of maybe dropping Gabriel and moving Ben White at centre-back, playing him with Saliba and then playing Tomiyasu at right-back? Yes, it's a possibility. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the fact that Gabriel, yes, he's made a couple of errors, but he's still very, very important when it comes to Mikel Arteta. He offers threat going forward as well from set pieces, and more importantly, he offers that balance as he's left-footed, and Mikel always likes to play with a left-footed centre-back as part of that too. So I think he'll continue for now. And like I said, it'll be Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel and Zinchenko as the back four. So that's who I think will start in the game against Brentford. Let me know what you think of that starting 11. Is that the one you want to see if everyone's fit? Do you take a risk on Thomas Partey? Do you even consider it a risk on Thomas Partey if he has played a full part in training this week? Let me know. As always, anything that you've heard, let me know in the comments below. Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit now about Mudryk, the Shakhtar Donetsk player. Now, he was obviously heavily linked to Arsenal towards the end of the transfer window. It was never really going to happen Arsenal. He's a player that Arsenal and everyone has been looking at. Why wouldn't you? Because of the form he showed with Shakhtar. But there was never any bid from Arsenal. I think there might have been a bid from Everton, but not. From Arsenal, it was just interest in it, and it wasn't going to happen. But I tell you what, I love this player. I remember the first time I saw him was last season. And I just flicked on to a Champions League game. It was Shakhtar versus Real at the Bernabeu, and I'd never heard of him at that point. And I just saw him playing over on the left hand side. I was like, "Who on earth is this player?" And I looked him up. Saw this young kid who's just kind of coming through. But you could just see immediately, as soon as you cast your eyes on him for the first time, the movement, the low centre of gravity, the way he runs with the ball, his pace, it just immediately stood out as well. Wow, this kid looks like a bit of a talent. And then I saw him. It was against Scotland, wasn't it? In the I think it was World Cup qualifiers, Scotland versus Ukraine. He was brilliant again in that performance, and he just really stood out. And now he's just exploded this season in the Champions League. Scored again the other day yesterday. It was against Celtic. Really good finish. The pace to get in down the left hand side, and the pace and the finish. He was brilliant in the game against Leipzig. I think it was in their first game when he scored a couple, got an assist. I think he's got four direct goal involvements already in the Champions League this season. No one's got more than him, and just a player that I really, really like. And I'm not an expert on him by any means, but every time I've seen him play, he just stands out and he's going to be an absolute superstar. It just looks like he's going to be a superstar. It's obviously impossible to predict that. We've seen a lot of young talents come through who look brilliant and then don't go on to fulfill that potential. But he just looks, if everything goes to plan with him and he stays fit, stays injury free, he looks like a talent, and he is going to make Shakhtar Donetsk some big, big money. Now, he has been speaking in the last sort of week or so. If you haven't seen the interview yet, he was speaking to CBS Sport, and he was asked about the possibility of leaving Shakhtar soon, coming to the Premier League, and he was asked about Arsenal as well, because Arsenal were heavily linked with him, and he said, "My dream is to play in the Premier League, of course. Arsenal is a very good team, very good manager, so from my side, I can't say no to Arsenal, but a transfer is just not my decision." Then he talked about how everyone has to come to an agreement. Now, that he is going to be one of the hottest properties in European football, no doubt about it. Like I said, Everton tried, Brentford tried, but Shakhtar, I think they looked at the value of this player and they thought, you know what, if we hold out, we're going to make some big money on him. And it's proved to be a wise decision, because already I would say that his transfer value has increased hugely from the summer window. Just with these first two appearances in the Champions League group stages, his value has just shot up compared to what it was in the summer. And if he does go in January, then he's going to go for some big, big money. Now, obviously, everyone's going to be thinking, is he going to come to Arsenal? Is he going to come to Arsenal? Arsenal are interested in Mudryk. But as I said, everyone is interested in Mudryk. Now, brilliant reporter, Nick Ames from The Guardian, he's done a couple of fantastic pieces reporting in Ukraine, as he, there's no one better than Nick when it comes to that sort of reporting. And, he's obviously got contacts with him. He said that Arsenal have been keeping an eye on him. So it's one that it's an exciting link, no doubt about it. But and I would love Arsenal to sign him, just because, when you just see a player for the first time and you really like them and you just think, I want him to sign for my club. So it would be fantastic. But I just think money-wise, it's going to be an issue. I think also when you look at Arsenal as well, when it comes to Mudryk, is he's left-sided. He's very left-sided. I'm not sure about him playing on the right too often, although he is left-footed, and Mikel likes his wide players to cut inside and use their correct foot when it comes to getting shots away, like he does with Bukayo Saka over there. So it is an option, but he's very much a left-sided player, and you just look at his quality now, and the clubs that are going to be in for him, and just think Arsenal have already got Gabriel Martinelli there, who's absolutely flourishing this season. So it's going to be a case of, if Arsenal do try and push the boat out to sign him, and I'm not saying they will, because I just don't know if they will. It's transfer window's a long time away. I don't really even want to be talking about transfers at this stage. But if they do try and push the boat outside, and then you've got to convince him, like, are you going to be a regular starter in this team? So, look, everyone wants a strong squad, and if you could get him in, then I'd absolutely have no complaints about it. But just what a player, fantastic player. I love watching him. If you haven't watched him yet, I urge you, whenever you if you see a Shakhtar Donetsk game is on, watch it and just watch him play. Watch the way he glides across the pitch. Just a fantastic footballer who I'd absolutely love to see Arsenal really try and push the boat out and sign in January or next summer, whenever Shakhtar do decide that the time is right to let him go. Okay, before I leave, just a little bit on Ben White. Like I said, I think he's had such a good start to the season. I think he's really, really underrated as well. And he gets grief. I don't understand why he gets grief, Ben White. I just do not understand him. I think the one error I've seen him make so far this season was for the third United goal at Old Trafford, when he decided to try and push up and play a high line when Eriksen was going through. It was just never going to work. It was just a really poor decision from Ben White, but he wasn't alone in that. The midfield and the rest of the defence all had a bit of a shocker in that second half when they lost their heads, and United just picked him off on the counter attack. But aside from that, I think he's been really, really good. I mean, the first game of the season at Palace, I wasn't here, obviously, that was when I was on holiday, but I saw some criticism that he got from it, and I just thought, how can you criticise him for that performance, playing over against Zaha, arguably the best winger this season in the Premier League? And he barely gave Zaha a sniff in that game, playing out of position. He was just really, really impressive. And he's continued that on. I remember watching him against Mitrovic in the Fulham game, and I thought it was great. Mitrovic kept pulling over onto the back post, trying to get put Ben White under pressure, and Ben White dealt with him so well. He's such a smart footballer, and the fact he's playing out on over at right back, and he's doing so well over there, just speaks volumes how good he is, I think, playing out of position. And he's been speaking to Arsenal.com. You go over and have a look on the website now. You can read the full interview, but he was speaking a little bit. Obviously, the Brentford game this time last season, it was his debut. There was chaos going on behind the scenes with COVID and everything like that, and he had a difficult debut. Everyone did. It wasn't just Ben White, but because of his price tag, all the eyes were on him for that game, and he got hammered afterwards by the media for it. And so sort of the build up to that game, and then the build up to this weekend game, I think a lot of eyes are going to be focusing on Ben White. And I just think where he is now to where he was then, I think he's just been great. And yes, a lot of people are going to talk about his price tag, 50 million. It's a lot of money, no doubt about it. But I think he's been a really decent signing for Arsenal, and he's only going to get better. Only 24 as well. And he was talking on that interview. He said, as a player, I've become more confident. I've been showing the confidence put in me and trying to perform to the level that the manager wants every week. It's something that I'm looking forward to. This season has been very different. There's a lot of togetherness. The way we train is completely different. What we do off the pitch, the attitude and the spirit that we're all together is just completely different. For me personally, it was a tough start when I joined. I played the Brentford game, didn't have a good game. I was getting battered by every person in the media, and it's rubbish to hear that. I don't have social media or anything like that, so I don't actually see any of it, but you get told about it. It's one of those things. Everyone has their opinions. Some of them you listen to, and some of you don't. I think he's got a really strong personality and strong character as he speaks, and those comments there at the end of it sort of give a little glimpse into that. Now he's just strange for a footballer. He's almost, I think he comes across when you see him interviewed, and he talks about previously how he doesn't really like football, he doesn't watch football, and I think that gets people's back up a little bit, and that's why he comes in for a little bit of unfair criticism, because other than that, I just don't see why people criticise Ben White. I can't see it. I think he's a fantastic player. I think the Saliba situation didn't help him as well, because everyone wanted to see William Saliba back at Arsenal, understandably so, given how we've seen how well Saliba has played. But I don't think that helped White, because people kind of took sides in that thing and saying, why have we spent 50 million on Ben White? Why is he playing? Why don't we just bring Saliba back? And I don't think that helped him with some of the fan base, certainly the social media fan base. But he just deserves so much more credit, in my view, than what he's getting. And I think he's been a fantastic sign. I think he started the season really well, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how he gets on. I think that potential partnership of Saliba and White, even though they're both right-footed, could actually be a really, really good centre-back partnership. And the one issue I have with him at right back, and he does get forward pretty well, but I like seeing Ben White in that central position, but sort of bursting through and running from deep. And when he's at right back, he can't really do that. So that's one of the downsides to him playing over there. But other than that, look, he's had a brilliant start to the season, and he's been one of my stars of the season so far. But let me know what you guys think about that and anything else you've heard in this video by leaving a comment below. Okay, that's about it for today. Like I said, I'll be at London Colney tomorrow, 12 PM press conference with Mykhaylo Mudryk. Keep your eyes peeled for all the updates as they happen from that. I'll try and do a video afterwards discussing all the key points Mykhaylo had to say ahead of that game against Brentford on Sunday. Until then, everyone, have a very good day. I'll speak to you soon.